Hey, this is H1. We're going to be running it back with another episode talking about chess knowledge, chess wisdom, chess understanding again. Today, we're going to be talking about the Catalan Opening, which is one of my favorite openings. I use it as like a secret weapon nowadays when I want to like really beat somebody, and grandmasters use it. This is a grandmaster opening, so you don't have any worries of even having to switch openings when you get up there in rating. Okay, it's a very powerful type of system that you can use, especially if you're already a d4 player, and it can fit within your arsenal if you play, I don't know, the bishop f4 lines, or if you already play the London system, you can just have this, you know, just in your back pocket just in case somebody thinks that they can beat you and you're like, okay, I'm a Catalan player too, and then they're surprised. Let's continue on. Let me get this board up right quick. In this position, we are going to be the white pieces because, I mean, that's the side of the Catalan. And the Catalan starts with this move d4. You have to play d4. I mean, you can transpose and you can do knight to f3 first too, but then you might have to deal with some other variations of this position. Now remember, if the opponent plays something weird like c5 or like e6 in this position, or not e6, or d6 in this position, you're probably not going to get the Catalan setup that I'm going to be showing in this video, but it's going to be a different type of Catalan setup, which has different names. Like there's a Neo-Catalan, or you're going to be facing like the King's Indian defense. And if you fianchetto on this side, it's going to be called something else, all right? Just to let y'all know, but you can fianchetto on this side and force these type of setups. After d4, knight to f6 is just like one of the two moves you're going to see for you to play the Catalan. Knight to f6, knight to f3, and then d5 here. Once your opponent plays d5, then you can be happy because you can set up your pieces how you want. You can either do c4 first to try to go into it, or you could do g3. In this game, they did g3 first. After g3, e6, and then we have the move bishop to g2. After bishop g2, c5, because they want to strike the center. But here, and I know this might look a little bit weird, but we can actually play this move c5. We can play this move c5. I know, it's a lot of tension in the center. I get it. This is legal. And plus, if d takes on c4, remember, like, if you start forgetting stuff, queen a4 is always a move. Queen a4, checking the king, and then just take your pawn back. If you get nervous, that's always your out. But if d takes on c4, you can actually do moves like knight to e5 in this position, weirdly enough. Now, what do they do here? They do this move knight to c6 and not capture any pawns here and just keep the tension going. But we're going to release the tension with this move c takes on d5. And after c takes on d5, knight takes on d5, which is completely fine. And we don't capture any other pawns back because we don't want to do d takes on c5, bishop takes on c5, and they was going to move the bishop anyway. Usually we want to take the pawn once they move the bishop at least once, or keep the pawn right there on d4. I've seen two different things that can happen here. You can be very flexible. You can develop the knight, you can do e4, but in this position, it is really important to castle the king as fast as possible, because with the Catalan, your pieces are very energetic and you can do a lot of threatening moves very fast, which you're going to see in this game. And it's important to get your king out the way into safety, have him watch Netflix and chill or whatever, okay? Because we're going to be seeking their king if their king stays in the center. After kingside castling, bishop d7 is already a mess up. Already a blunder. It's actually a very horrible blunder because black is losing. Why are they losing? Like I said, with the Catalan, our pieces are very energetic. We can actually sacrifice pawns for more activity. Activity is king in the Catalan. That's why I love it so much. I can blunder a pawn and still be cool. I can get back in the position and pretend like nothing happened. We got this move e4 though. This is a very, very cool move to keep in mind, especially if they take the pawn with the knight. They could have took with the pawn and then go into like a Tarrasch type of structure, which sometimes some players do, and it makes it pretty boring, and then you have to learn how to go against a Tarrasch defense, or Tarrasch. I know somebody's gonna correct me in the comments. After e4, knight goes back to c7, and what do we do here? What do you think is the best move in this position? You can pause it. You can pause the video right now. There's only a few good moves, but there's only one best move that keeps that 2-point edge, which is d5. Why d5? Because you want to open up the center. The king is still in the center. We want to open up these lines. If your opponent doesn't want to castle, or if they do some weird moves that prevents them from castle, you want to open up the E and D file, open up the E and D file as soon as possible. We want those lines open. We want to checkmate their king. That is the purpose of playing chess. After d5, their knight has to move because d5 was a forcing move. They don't want to just have their knight being captured by a pawn and then they get 1 point and we get 3 points, which we would be happy. Now, after knight to a5, knight c3, because we still need to develop pieces. They did this weird move f6, and it's not exactly a weird move because they want to do king f7. They probably already they probably already think that they're never going to castle. And so why not just do f6, plant the king on f7 and call it a day? The bishop is kind of there's not really any good squares for that bishop to go. And so, yeah, why not? But I digress. Because white did this move, bishop to f4. Just keep on developing pieces. And you can do this here in this position. You can just keep on developing pieces because your opponent's pieces look like garbage. And you're going to figure that out once you play the Catalan a lot, is that your opponent's pieces is always cramped looking, in awkward looking squares, especially if they don't know how to play against it. And your pieces are pretty normal. It's satisfying. After this move, bishop to f4, e5, trying to shut down everything. What do you think is the best move here after e5? What do y'all think? In the spirit of the Catalan, we got to keep on fighting. We got to open up the lines. And so why not do knight takes on e5? That was a given. I don't even know why black even played this move e5 and didn't just resign here, because after e5, a knight takes on e5, g6, don't even take the knight because you can't. You literally can't, because if you take knight, pawn takes, you got moves like queen h5 that you have to look out for. g6, queen takes on e5. If you didn't see that, let me just put this on the board right now. You know what I mean? This is a fork. Or if they move king up, I'm not ever gonna, that's not even considered a move in my book. That's not even considered a move. That's why they played this move g6 here. After g6, a knight takes on d7, a queen takes on d7, and then, like I said before, we want to open up more lines. We're up a pawn, we're already winning. Now we're gonna have to get that satisfying finish, especially with this move e5 here. e5 is very threatening. There is literally no way to get out of this. There's no way to get out of this alive, all right, against a very strong player. And so after e5, f takes on e5, because, I mean, they're gonna capture that pawn anyway. Bishop takes on e5. That bishop is attacking that rook on h8, and so they don't wanna lose any more pieces. Rook g8, they're trying to queenside a castle, so we're gonna have to be in a hurry. We're gonna have to be in a hurry to make sure our opponent doesn't do that. That's why we have to cut or prevent them from going into that direction with this move, bishop to f6. After bishop to f6, now they're really in trouble, because this bishop has two purposes. First of all, the opponent can't castle. Secondly, the e file is completely, it's open for attack. And so what did they do? They was like, okay, well, I'm not queenside castling. They go king to f7. Bishop goes back to e5. You can play very slow moves unless your opponent has some tactical thing that they can do. We got to be mindful of still. We don't want to just do slow moves just because we can. We have to be in a hurry, but we got to be delicate with the position too. After bishop to e5, knight to e8, covering all those good squares. And then we have this move g4 here, which is pretty nasty that you could do a move like g4. That's how good the position is. We can just push pawns in front of our king. All of our opponent's pieces are passive. That knight is on the edge, in which a knight on the edge of the rim is dim, is not in the game anymore. They're playing basically without a few pieces in their arsenal. After g4, knight to c4, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn on b2. What do they do next? We don't care about that knight because we have this move queen f3. After queen f3, that king has to move somewhere. And guess what? This game ends in, what is that, 2 moves? In 2 more moves? Especially after a king to e7. King e7. d6, check. Knight takes on d6. And then bishop to f6. After bishop to f6, black resign. Both the files are open. These rooks is going to be coming in. This knight can go to d5. This king can't go to f7 because of all the discovered checks. This king can, I mean, if it stays on the e file, it's pretty much done. So yeah, this game is completely over. All right, let's get into the next match. Let's get into the next game right quick. We got this next game here, and yes, it's a Catalan opening. But this game actually shows what I love about it, what I love about playing the Catalan, especially in a blitz match where threats matters more than like pawns being captured in this type of opening. Let me show you. It starts with this move d4, but our opponent actually plays d5 and make the game a little bit easier. We already know what our opponent is planning. We don't have to guess and think exactly what they're going to play with the next few moves, because with knight to f6 is kind of like a guessing game, but with a d5 we kind of get a glimpse of what our opponent is going to do here. After c4, e6, and if they play e5, you can't get into the Catalan anymore, so you're going to have to study those other openings so that you know exactly what you're doing at all times, especially with the first moves of the game. After e6, we have knight to f3. In this setup right here, knight to f3, knight to f6, g3 is what you're trying to achieve. This setup, remember, let this position burn in your head, because this is what you're trying to achieve to get into the Catalan every single time. Now, after g3, we have d takes on c4. Now, this is the open Catalan opening. The closed Catalan opening is if they do like bishop e7, which goes into like a very cramped position for the black pieces. If you know how to play the black side in that, hey, congratulations to you. But most games that I play in the Catalan, I love when they do the closed variation. I love when they don't take the pawn. But in this game, this is more testing of the white side here. If you take the pawn, do d takes on c4, and then bishop g2. We don't ever care about the pawn. And remember, if you forget about openings, if you just forget about these moves all of a sudden, you can always do queen a4, checking the king, queen takes on c4. Usually good players don't play that way because they want to actually test the opponent. They want to make sure exactly if their opponent knows what they're doing here, because this is kind of like an out for the black side. It's very simple how to play. They could do like a6, b5, bishop b7, c5, and it's very easy. And our queen is going to be a little bit more in danger, but that way is good too. You can play it. It's not exactly a advantage though for the white pieces. It's a pretty balanced game. After bishop to g2, it's an easy way how to play it too. After bishop to g2, a6, and now we got a problem. We got a problem because they just want to defend the pawn. Do we allow them to defend the pawn? Most beginners would be like, oh snap, I need to do something about this. Now I can't even go queen a4 and take the pawn. Because once you commit to like bishop g2, you got to actually commit to possibly just allowing your opponent to take that pawn for free. Because what do we get out of it? We get more activity, more development with our pieces. And so after a6, knight to e5, attacking the pawn. They can't do b5 because of this bishop along this diagonal. Don't forget about the bishop. Knight to e5 is a very important move to remember in this position. Bishop to b4, checking our king, knight to c3, and they did knight to d5. And you might be wondering, oh snap, we might be under attack. They're literally threatening a fork. Knight takes on c3, b takes on c3, bishop takes on c3, checking the king and attacking the rook at the exact same time. Maybe we have to do moves like bishop takes on d4, d5 at this moment here, which never give away your fianchetto bishop so easily. Unless you're actually winning in that position, never give away your fianchetto bishop. Not even for a rook sometimes, because those light squares become very weak. After knight to d5, white castle. forget about the extra pawn here. We give away another pawn because after knight takes on c3, b takes on c3, and of course, bishop takes on c3, we're gonna have to figure out what we're doing because now we're down 2 pawns, but we're up a lot of material. We're up a lot in activity, in development, especially after this move, rook to b1. And not only do they capture that pawn, but they went ahead and captured this pawn too on d4, crazy enough. So we got all 3 pawns captured. We should be losing, right? Wrong, because we have a lot of, like, just think about it. Our knights is developed, our bishops developed, our king is castled, our rook on b1 is attacking this b7 pawn, our queen is putting pressure on that bishop on d4, and their king isn't castled yet, or their pieces. Now, this type of advantage is temporary, so we're gonna have to go in a speedy fashion. We gotta keep the initiative going, because if we don't, then we could be losing. Like, for example, if we don't play the best move now, we're losing. And the best move in this position is knight takes on c4. Knight takes on c4. After castled kingside, we have another good move, which we just keep on threatening things in our opponent's camp so that they have to respond to it with moves like bishop to a3. Bishop a3, the only way to defend the rook is by moving it slowly to the left, which that rook isn't doing anything anyway. After rook to e8, queen c2. Queen c2 has a purpose. You're gonna see it right quick. Knight to d7. And it is really hard for the opponent to actually develop pieces in the best way, because if they went knight to c6, sometimes you can like take that knight with the bishop and then double up their pawns and just have a beautiful game against their bishop on c8 and against their rook on a8, because those 2 pieces are the most difficult pieces to try to develop, especially on the black side. Rook f to d1 to get every single piece into the position. Now look at our pieces. We got every single piece doing a role, having a purpose. We have to learn how to actually follow up with threats when we get a perfect position like this. Yes, we're down 2 pawns. I get that. But we made up for it. And the computer agrees with us too. The engine agrees with us. Bishop to f6. And this was the worst move. It's really hard to play on black side. They actually should have played just to keep this, keep their position up, is queen f6. But I mean, any normal person would have just brought the bishop back. Any normal person would not have seen this move. Rook takes on b7. Crazy. Oh, wrong soundboard, wrong button. And no person would have seen rook takes on b7. All types of threats. Is crazy. It's crazy. After rook takes on b7, you can't even capture the rook because of this line. Bishop takes on b7, bishop takes on b7, rook b8, bishop back. Actually, let me just show you right quick, because most people can't follow along that quickly, and I understand. And then after bishop captures, bishop c6, and then you realize that role that rook on d1 had. That rook is pinning that knight to the queen, and yeah, white is gonna get their pieces back. That's why black did not capture that rook. Like, black is already up a pawn or so why did they have to capture the rook? They don't ever have to. They're already up in material. Bishop e7, because black's main idea is, I just want to exchange pieces so I can like survive. And usually that's what you have to do if you're being attacked. If you're in danger, exchange pieces. The only thing is, everything is in white's advantage. Bishop takes on e7, rook takes on e7, rook takes on e7, rook to b3, just moving the rook back. You don't ever have to keep it right there. Bishop is attacking this rook on AA, so they have to do a very silly move, either like rook to a7 or c6, which is very bad. They're trying to give away one more pawn to get back into the position, but no. After this last move, black resigned because of all the pressure, all the activity, all the threats, all the forks, all the pins. In this move, knight to e5 seals the deal. Every single piece of ours is working together. And this is why I like the Catalan, because of beautiful games like this. When I seen this, I had to show y'all. I had to show it. There was no way for me not to show y'all a good game like this. After this, black resign. Knight takes on c6, major threat, even if rook goes back. I mean, after this pawn is captured, remember, it's a equal position after that pawn is captured. And not only does white have an equal position after that, but they have massive activity, and black's pieces still look like trash. Their pieces still do not look great at all. And this is what you're trying to achieve when you're playing the Catalan. It's very energetic. It's that, I don't know what to describe it as. It's such a good opening. It's such a good opening. I love playing it and getting an amazing game just like this. I actually have some games in the Catalan if y'all want me to show y'all that too, but hopefully this was good. If y'all want to see more lines and more games with this opening, just tell me in the comments down below. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and yeah, just do your part, all right? This was free content. I love teaching, and I want to do more of this, all right? Keep on fighting till the end, staying focused in chess and in real life too. Peace.